challenge Mark, ask him questions, maybe features that you think would be interesting, or maybe he's thought of. Any questions, we'll open it up. All right.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. My question was, is this something that you'll be able to purchase separately? Is it going to be, like, we have, CenturyLink, so does it partner with them? Is it a separate piece that you buy and it just works with your network?
Okay, sure. So the question is, how does this work with existing service providers? And so the product, like I said, is a smartphone app with a companion router. So you would buy the router, and the smartphone app would be a free download, and then you just plug that in. So literally, again, everything we do is with ease of use in mind from the get-go design. So when you go through the sign-up process of purchasing the device, you'll fill in your user information as part of the form and purchase. So once we've gathered all that information, we already pre-set up all of the things to make that work on the backside. And when you get your device in the mail, you'll literally plug port 1 into the internet. It doesn't matter what kind of internet connection you have. It'll phone home to our servers in the cloud, create a VPN tunnel to make sure that control access doesn't get interfered with by anyone with ill intentions. And then you immediately can access it from your smartphone app and control all your devices in the home. So it is completely agnostic to whatever service provider you have.
Okay.
Can I get a little more detail on, is it a router with 4 ports? Does it have Wi-Fi in the box? Is it just a filter between the cable modem and your other router you currently have?
Sure. So a couple questions there. First off, can it work with another router? And that's true. It could behave. The intention is ideal scenario that it's the only router in the house. It will work for both wired and wireless devices. It does sit between those devices and the internet. So you have to position it in a spot that will, in line for those devices. So if, for example, you had a computer plugged into your old router, and then you ran this new wire to the Aerēz product, that old device that was plugged directly into your old router might not get the features of Aerēz included. And then what was the other question?
How many ports are in the router? Well, is this a generic router? Because, for instance, when I buy a cable, it only has one output, usually. And I have to plug it into a switch or a router so that other devices can share that. So is your product a combination router, or is it just a switch? Does it have a wireless chipset on it?
Sure. So we've got a basic model that has 5 ports, and one of those ports will be used to connect to the internet. It includes Wi-Fi and a AC wireless, which has enhanced Wi-Fi capability. And then our premium product has also 5 ports, full gig capacity, and does AC with more radios for better coverage.
Question back there.
It looks like a great product. The model's a little bit different. Normally people think about an app, they just, you push Google Play and you get something free or you spend 99 cents. What is at this point, your marketing model in terms of, this is a little bit different, there's a piece of hardware involved, so it's getting people wrapped around that, and where do they go get it? And you mentioned the mail, so I'm guessing it's going to be a kind of an internet push for this, and you get your stuff in the mail and that's it. You're looking at partnerships with that, or kind of how are you looking at getting that hardware out to people?
Sure. So our current idea is that we'll be direct to consumer, where you have to find out about us even through our marketing, and hopefully word of mouth will. That's one of the things we're here today to talk about, and hopefully spread the word. And so our target is about $99 for the product, and then there would be a $10 a month subscription fee to enable all of the cloud features. So if you set it up and you end up using it for a while and then go, I don't really use all these cloud features, then you would just discontinue your subscription. The router would still behave in whatever way it was last configured, and And at any time you want to turn those features back on again, you would just restart your subscription. So the $99 is the I guess, standard version, and then our premium version with the enhanced features. And that's just enhanced hardware. It's not any additional software. Is targeted for $199. And you mentioned service providers also. You know, I guess in the future, what we'd like to do is partner with service providers and have them offer this as a value add, so that for their parental customers that need a better parental control set. Because typical routers today, you can filter, but you do it for everybody. And the ability to filter either per device or per user, we found was really useful for us.
Mark, you're a brave guy to stand in between someone and like binge watching House of Cards on Netflix. I have a feeling some of these devices are going to get crushed in a rage. But I get it, your productivity. Next question.
Hi, thank you for coming. I don't know much about like sandwich and all that stuff that you were talking about, but I can relate to things slowing down in the house. And I know my husband always says, we have too much going on the router. Everyone log off. So my question is, you showed us an example of, 50%, 50% on playing a game and then someone's on the laptop. When kids come over to my house, when teenagers come to my house, they automatically connect with our Wi-Fi. So how does everything stay at 100%? Like it's equal 100%.
Yep.
Like how do I make sure everything, you know what I mean?
I think I do.
Okay.
So that's one of the awesome things about our positioning of our product and having a piece that's in the cloud. So from the cloud, we'll be able to measure and talk to your device and find out, hey, you sign up for whatever service you sign up for, but in general, you don't actually get that speed. So we'll know what actual speed is available on the router at all times. And so we can run some math in the background and determine, hey, there's this many devices, so they need to split this much capacity in an equal and shared way. And so, like we talked earlier about there being, you add it to 2 adults and you add this to kids and you add this. As devices come on your network, they'll automatically be put in a zone called public or guest, and that zone has the lowest priority. It still has some guarantees, so other solutions sometimes say, hey, this thing is capped at whatever speed it could go to. In our solution, any single device can consume the whole capacity of your internet connection, but as more devices come on, they're forced to share and play nicely with each other. So, because we know how many devices are on your network and we know how fast your network connection is, we can just run some math and optimize it for you under the hood.
And I work from home, so I'm on my laptop. You could put like more percentage like on priority on my laptop?
That's absolutely how the underlying algorithms work, is that we assume that parents are the important traffic, right? The adults are. So adults get placed in
That's
an
quite an
adult.
assumption.
And that may not be accurate, which is hopefully the feedback we get as we go, through more trials in our beta. But for now, that's our current based assumption, and
Well, you do pay for the internet, so that
Yeah.
should be a priority.
Thank you.
Other questions over here, Nance?
So like the last speaker said a lot about the bandwidth and tech stuff, but a lot of times I can stream Netflix or anything like that on a tablet or a laptop just fine, but for some reason when we try to go to the TV, it doesn't work or it gets stuck. Is this anything that could help us with that, or is this a totally different problem?
So I don't want to blanket state that this definitely would help with that, but as part of this solution, if you think there's something odd going on in the network, our dashboard, which we wanted to show here, but we're still in partial development, will show you that, for example, if there is a problem where your bandwidth is being consumed by 90% or more, you would get an alert that says, hey, your bandwidth is at 90%, and by the way, it's your Xbox and it's doing a software update. And maybe you're doing that and you know it, and you're saying, okay, that's fine. But maybe that's a problem for you because you're trying to stream some movie to And so you would do a couple swipes and it would force that bandwidth down for that device, either temporarily or permanent.
Other questions? While you're thinking of other questions, I have a question for you, Mark. Some of the worst wireless networks I've ever used have been in hotels, because you have so many people using it, it's like one page every 10 minutes or something. Is there a way to kind of do this on a bigger scale with, a large user group, a lot of people that are using certain networks?
So it's funny that you mentioned that because prior to coming up with Network Family and Aerēz, our original idea for the business was a product we called Always Connected, which would allow you to bundle a bunch of internet connections together and then offer that with this quality of service engine that we designed to make sure that that would work in our target market was hotels. So we still would like to pursue that path, but now that's an add-on to this.
Okay.
So hopefully a later market segment.
Mine's an easy one. Can we just go back to the website screen?
You got that, Alex? Yeah, so mcpnetworks.us is our current website. We're working on Aerēz.net, and I've got business cards if you want to take that to, give a remembrance of how to get there.
Quick question about IP. You mentioned the quality of service engine. I assume that's some intellectual property that you hold. I guess that's a question. Is that correct? And I assume that's just some algorithms that you've developed. And then also the piece of hardware. Is there some IP wrapped up in that, or I guess from a launching a business standpoint, how much new is there? Do you need to contract with some big manufacturer in China to make this happen, or is it something you can do relatively easily?
Sure, so in our initial implementation here, we've standardized on a product by MikroTik. They're a large company globally, but in the US not so well known. And so because they're already commodity hardware that exists, we fast forward past that hardware manufacturing process. So then we're loading our software on top of that, and it talks to that system. What was the other piece of the question?
The IT in terms of the.
Oh, sure, yeah. So yeah, we're pursuing patent on the algorithms that do use the cloud to manage the quality of service and bandwidth.
Are those compiled in some way that people can't see it anyway, or I guess the software itself, is it?
Yeah, all of that stuff happens in the cloud. So that's an abstraction from the customer's perspective.
So the patent may or may not be necessary since people can't just go see it and copy it.
Right. But the patent protects us and gives us a competitive advantage to our competitors.
Other questions?
Awesome, Mark.
There's one.
Just curious, how did you come up with that name, Aerēz?
Sure. So Aerēz, we struggled for a long time to come up with a good name and so what happened, we had Network Family, everybody liked it, and then we started going through the trademark process. And as it turns out, may or may not be aware, trademarking something that's descriptive of your thing is very difficult and likely to fail. So we decided, okay, we need to come up with something that is unique or different. And after many, many different iterations, we came up with, my last name is Perea, and another co-founder's last name is Perea, and another co-founder's last name is Zarevsky. Well, if you spell Perea backwards and then replace the P with a Z, you get Aerēz. And we figured, this is kind of a partial Wi-Fi solution, and it uses the cloud, so Air plus EZ. We thought it fit for a lot of different ways. That's how we got there.
Next question.
Hi, I was wondering if there was only one admin to control it, or is there going to be add multiple? And is there a way to get on the beta launch?
Good question. So first off, the current implementation is single login that is an admin. Definitely we have plans to make it so that different user accounts have just a flag that's enabled for administrative control. In the same way, admins, our current implementation is that admins don't get disable paused. When you pause the internet, their devices will not get paused. And as far as the beta goes, please grab our business card and sign up for our newsletter. And absolutely, in the next coming weeks, we'll be putting our beta together, so we hope you'll sign up.
I imagine so many lawns are gonna get mowed now. Things are gonna Next question.
Hey Mark, I have a personal question and one from Twitter, so I'll start with the one from Twitter. It says, what's your biggest hurdle to overcome in pushing forward with this product?
Our biggest hurdles to overcome pushing forward with the product are that we've got a small startup team, and we continually have to manage our time in both developing the product and developing the business at the same time. And so that's a constant struggle for us. And being here today means I'm not at home banging away on code and making this thing better and improved. So that's the biggest struggle. And the other part of the question?
Yeah, my question kind of feeds into that, I guess. I just was curious, like, how big is your team? What are the roles, and how do you guys work together?
Sure. So currently, I'm the Chief Technical Officer. I'm a co-founder. My wife, Candace, who is also in the audience here, is CEO and software lead. So she's really focused on the software piece and the UI, whereas I'm the technical guy on the back, making sure the cloud and the router are behaving well. And then we've got a founder in Alaska who is our operations guy. He's got 20 years in the Air Force. He's a retired veteran. So our business is veteran-owned, minority-owned, and he brings quality assurance to the table. We've got one employee so far that's also helping us on the back-end server side. And then we've got a couple of contractors that are working on graphics, design, application, and our marketing materials.
Great. Other questions?
Hey Mark. So talk a little bit about some of the other players that are in this space, your competition, and what makes your product better than what's currently out there.
Sure. So as far as competition goes, depending on which angle you look at things from, we started this thing as a parental controls filler, and then it really became a quality of service bandwidth, make everything on your home network run smoothly together, and give you exposure to what's going on inside the network. In the parental control space, NetNanny is the market leader. They're $10 per month per device, which obviously doesn't scale, and they've got a great implementation, but you're installing a thing on every device. So our central managed is an advantage there. There are a couple of competitors coming to market, but they went to manufacturing, where we went and took an off-the-shelf product and built our software on top of that. So they're not yet to market. They're direct competitors to us, but we feel that our usage of the cloud is our competitive advantage there. We're able to learn stuff about what's going on in the network, and hopefully over time, as we get more and more users, we're able to create a learning experience for our algorithms where they can make your network run better and better and better over time.
Okay, other questions? While you're thinking of them, I think there's one here. I have a question for you. If it does get, large and blows up, well, you're headquartered out of Minot right now, where you and your family are in Minot. Do you think you'll be able to stay in Minot and find the skills that, the skill sets that you need to continue to grow the business in Minot, in North Dakota?
That's one of the challenges that we're having right now is finding talent. We've been looking for mobile developers and application developers out of Minot. We've had very little traction finding workers. So we're definitely open to the idea of having to go somewhere else to get that talent and really build the business up. At the same time, we're really excited that from the get-go, here we are creating this technology company in North Dakota. I mean, it's something that I think many people would expect to come out of Silicon Valley or some larger place in the nation.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, another one from Twitter. It's how did you land a new price point, and have you considered offering upgraded hardware?
Sure. Our price point was landed on basically just by comparing what else is in the marketplace. We wanted to be a fit for families. We wanted to make it so that it was pretty affordable, but still able to create a margin so that we can create a business. And our goal is to hopefully hire a dozen employees over our first year if we can gain some success. As far as future hardware versions and more features and enhancements, there's definitely room for that, but as a startup, we really have to focus our resources as much as we can. So we've just picked two things and we said, okay, here's our basic version, and if you need an upgrade from that, here's our enhanced version.
Alex, I think his mic went off a little bit. Okay, other questions? Other questions?
So you mentioned just before the last question about finding talents. Are you working with any of the colleges or internships or that type of thing to foster the talent and bring them to you?
So my wife and I were both faculty at Minot State University. We're alumni of Minot State. And we worked directly with some of the instructors there to contact some interns. And absolutely, we've got an internship program running where we're trying to modularize certain portions of what we need done and handing that off to the interns to let them get some experience, get their feet wet, and like you say, hopefully develop some talent that wants to stay with us as we grow. But so far, it's just been Minot State University. We haven't reached out to NDSU or any other universities yet.
You probably want to go to UND first. Their alumni are so smart. They're so much smarter.
So you have kind of a wide group of people here in the audience today. Are there any questions that you want to, maybe some polling, some market research? I mean, this is your chance to kind of get some feedback from the crowd.
Sure, if I can get a raise of hands, people that would be willing to spend $100. I mean, I'm not making a ploy here to see will you buy this, but if you genuinely would buy this, if it was available on the stage right here, anybody would buy it today? Awesome.
Would you use it at your hotel? Do you think your hotel would use it?
She's not there anymore.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I left in April, but, yeah, absolutely, that would be a really great thing, I think, for hotels. I've been in hospitality for, about a decade, until April. But, yeah, there's constantly people who are having internet issues all the time in certain rooms, and, I think being able to allocate it to certain areas or perhaps certain rooms or certain devices would be extremely beneficial.
Awesome.
Okay, question. Did you bring any? Can we sell it? Just
I just had a couple of questions. How much range does your router have? Because currently, I have a router in my house, and to use the internet on the deck or in certain other areas, we need an extended router.
Yep, and that's typical. So in the general case, depending on placement and materials and all the rest of that stuff, you can get a certain amount of attenuation on the Wi-Fi, right? And so in a small home, one router will do it. In a larger home, you'll need multiple. In where we're at today with Aerēz, that extender would still apply. What we would like to do in our next couple of versions is add our own branded extender that fits in with our product and seamlessly enhances the features so that encompasses any amount of area that you want to cover. But today we're not there.
And then also, you use your cloud service on the MicroTik router that you are working with now. Is there a possibility of working with other router companies so you can add your software to routers that we already have in our homes?
Absolutely. So it's something we discuss at almost every strategy meeting is, you know, where do we go next? And that's one of the directions that we could go is how do we hit on another vendor's model? One of the struggles there is that a lot of stuff that you can buy at Best Buy and Walmart and et cetera, they're pretty low powered devices. And then when you put custom firmware on there that would allow us to, you know, expose the connectivity we need to the cloud to do the advanced features that we need to do, some of those devices just get crushed under that weight. And then your internet connection actually gets worse and it gets slower because of the policy that's applied that makes the solution behave the way that it behaves. So we want to stay out of that as much as we can, but we absolutely talk about it, and if we get the right hardware, we would absolutely do that. But for now, we know that it runs well on this, so we focused our efforts on that.
Can you also keep track on how much internet is coming in from your service provider to see if they're the issue?
Yeah, so in our case of our founder in Alaska, one of the features that he's real keen on getting implemented ASAP is that he's on a bandwidth cap. So much like your cell phone is only allowed so many gigs per month, he's only allowed so many gigs per month on his wired connection. And so in his home, he really has to be careful. He's got, you know, upwards of 30 devices, 5 kids, and they've all got, you know, multiple things. So regularly he's like going over his capacity, and he absolutely wants to use Aerēz to manage that capacity and make sure he's not going over.
Another question. Do we have one over there? No? Okay, we probably have time for maybe one more question before our last question up here.
Just a little feedback on the pricing model. I think it's really good. I like, people are always changing modems and routers, and it's something that I think you're not going to have a real difficult time, I don't think, getting that in. If somebody doesn't need it this year, they'll probably need it next year. The other thing I really like is that you're not tying your hardware to that $10 a month. I think that really removes some barriers to entry for people that say, you know what, this thing will still be working for me even if I choose not to continue with the service. So I think that's a real smart way to do that. I assume your margins are probably real good on the $10 a month anyway. So I think that's at a price point too that isn't going to scare people. So from my perspective, it seems like you're really on a good track there.
Yeah, so I think just like with many businesses, you know, it's about achieving scale. And we know that at $10 a month with 100 users, you know, we don't have a business here. But if we can get 10,000 users, well, now we've got a business. And if we can gain more than 10,000 users, you know, we can support, you know, a growing business that has many employees. And so that's our goal. We really would love to you know, build a company and get a business rolling that can support lots of employees.
Awesome, well, lots of good questions. We usually ask one set question as our last question. Eric, would you mind asking the last question?
Sure. Mark, what can Bismarck and the 1 million customer community do for you?
So I hope that you will take our business card. I've got plenty here for everybody. And I hope that you'll, you know, if it's not for you, even if you share the business card with somebody who you think this might be a fit for, that would be great. If you could visit our Facebook page and throw us a like or follow us, that'd be awesome. Share would be great. And just, you know, start talking to people about this, let them know that it's coming, and you know, really we'd like to get as many people interested and signed up for the beta in the next, you know, 30 days as possible.
Great, well, help me thank Mark for coming and